Welcome back to Birdie Fever. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing you the end-all be-all to the Future of Creator Golf series inside the Birdie Fever Insider series. Tonight's episode is episode 5, The Future of Creator Golf, a revolution in progress. The world of golf is on the verge of a revolution, and Creator Golf is leading the charge. In this final episode, we'll explore the forces shaping the future of the game and how creator-driven ecosystem can unlock its full potential. In episode 5 that I have so much excitement to bring you, my first question to you all out there is, are you ready to witness the most exciting era in golf history? I don't know about you, but I am absolutely excited because I have a feeling that I know exactly where we're going, and that's why we made the series for you, so that we can kind of let you in to a little bit what's behind the curtain. The big deal about episode 5 is that we're actually going to give our vision, so more of our opinion than even the previous episodes. So those episodes were incredibly opinionated as they are, but this is going to be incredibly opinionated because it's going to go beyond what is just common information. So there's going to be information here that is not common, that was based on our thoughts. And then there's going to be information that's really like 0-day information that has just transpired over the last week that you just may have missed. So we got it all here for you, and we're going to unpack it. So let's get into it. In our first segment, which is the almighty segment here that we've been waiting for this entire series, and it's called the 16 Pillars of Creator Golf Success. When I built these 16 pillars, I did it from a data analytics standpoint of what I saw across the last year, going online, looking at people's posts when the creators would ask questions about things. And so I just kind of started compiling data on every one of those posts where I saw people chatting about this particular subject, about creator golf, its future, tours, lots of things, right? And so we're going to release a video list. We were going to actually show them inside of the video series, but we decided against it because it would have made it like 15, 20 hours of subject matter, whereas it's not absolutely necessary for us to deliver this series. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of tag the list in these videos. And so we're going to share the links to all those other videos that we think you should watch if you really, really want to dive deep and hear this stuff from other creators and their kind of discussions that brought this series along. Let's go into it. So we've identified 16 key pillars that will define the future of creator golf. Let's revisit them and see how they're already being embraced. Okay, so in the previous episodes, we let you know that there are some things that just transpired in the last 7 days that give you a sign that we're right on the right track, because these big entities that are actually investing money into the space in these ways are actually putting money into these areas and advertising things and changing their products to meet these standards. Okay, so we're going to label out 16 of them for you. We don't know how many are actually out there in the world. This has been a product of mine that has been a long time coming. We've been working on this for 10 months. Some of this might seem a tad bit stale, but there shouldn't be too much in here that's stale at all. And I'm going to show you actually who did these things just in the last week, and many of them are very world's first. It's actually incredible because we had plans to film this week before we head out to the PGA Memes tournament in Arizona, because we want all of this subject matter and material to be out there in the world so that other creators can kind of chatter about it. And since we're going to a giant powwow of creators, we felt like it would be a good thing to have out there so that they can all know that we are masters of thought in the space and that we're really trying our best to become someone in the space that not only the people like, but also the creators like. So here we are. The very, very first and foremost pillar is going to be authenticity. Authenticity is where real people are authentic. It doesn't get really much harder than that to explain or understand. When we translate it into the creator golf space, what we mean by that is real golf creators, not pros, trying to duck the top level competition, and they're, afraid of trying to make the tour, or they've gotten shot down 17 times and now they're going to become creators. Personally, I don't feel that that is the way. I could see that, some may fall from grace, and that's great, but we really believe here at Birdie Fever that the pros and the best in the world should try to chase the best in the world. If that's what's in you, if that's, what sparked you, you should continue on that path and definitely chase that, be the best in the world. We want to support the PGA, and we want to support Live Golf and DP World Tour and everybody else out there that is trying to show off the world's best. But there is a space for creators, and we're going to show you that right here on episode 5. Creators need their own space, and the first thing there is going to be authenticity. Sorry, fakies. This isn't your space. Go bye-bye. All right. The number 2 pillar is a YouTube focus. We believe that no matter where an event is broadcasted, that it needs to maintain the root system that made it. None of these people got big without YouTube, without Instagram, without social media golf, right? Why would we exclude it when we're trying to make a production? It just doesn't make sense. So we believe that you need to have the event on YouTube if you're going to make a production. You can put it wherever you want. You can put it on NBC, you can put it on Peacock, you can put it on ESPN. You can do whatever you want, but you need to simulcast it to YouTube or just broadcast it there in general. No other place. It is the only place you could put it, or it could be a companion place, but as long as you have YouTube there, we're good with it. And I think the world will be good with it too. You're not abandoning the root system that made the entire niche of creator golf. It just makes sense. The reason for that is because of the platform's reach. Why would you want to disregard a massive reach for your product? And if it's just because you're trying to sell TV rights, that's not the way to do it. It's not the way to grow it. And that is not the way that you're going to get the fans excited about something. And that brings us to our third pillar, which is daytime play. This one is going to be controversial along with a lot of others, but daytime play, we think, is a must. The nighttime glow of lights can be really cool on camera and put out some really awesome shots, but we don't feel that it's the best for the fans. Daytime play is more accessible for more people to A, watch, and B, to attend. So we really want to see more attendance in the warmth, having a great time, wearing, summertime clothes. It just works out all better. This brings us to segment number 4, which is a very, very controversial topic. And this one, before we even get into it, could go on for days. So don't flame us for not putting so much attention here, but this is something that we believe is going to need to have a lot of discussion amongst a lot of different people in order to come up with any sort of consensus. And a consensus may not even be able to be had. There are so many different schools of thoughts on this. And this is actually one of the reasons why we want the PGA to continue on with its tradition, legend, and customs. We don't want to really change the customs of the PGA, whereas some people do because they want to watch the PGA and they want to watch the best in the world perform. But the problem with that is that you have legacy, you have records, you have history and tradition, and if you change it too much, you might turn it into a monster, and then it might be an unrecognizable monster sometime. And that's just not good for anybody. It's not good for anyone or the sport of golf. We want that tradition and legacy to be maintained at the PGA level. And so that's why we propose that the stuff that we are suggesting here is for a companion product, more than likely. Even maybe a competing product, but it could be a companion and competing product, but we're not trying to change the PGA. I think that a lot of people have given up on that, and that's why Creator Golf came about. That's why it's so big now, and why it really does have more eyeballs than many people think. We're going to get into that a little later. Pillar number 4 is rule modernization. Okay, so rule modernization is updating the outdated rules for a new generation. This is something that people want the PGA to do, but like I explained before, it's just not right. We don't feel that it's right. We are traditionalists. We are kind of keepers in that way, where we love the sport of golf and we wouldn't want to see something that would change something that would make people forget about where golf came from, who were the greats, and what they did. If you change too many rules and create a new monster out of the PGA, you are going to have a place that is no longer recognized and potentially not a place that a lot of people want to be around or watch. They might just give up. This happened with me actually with baseball, and it's very sad, but I watched baseball and played baseball for decades. Over the 2020 season, during the pandemic, the things that they changed and the decisions that were made during that time completely turned me off to baseball, and I no longer watch it, unfortunately. And now that they've made even more changes like shot clock for the pitchers and just other things, they've taken away the pastime that I knew and loved. And it's just not the same. I would hate to have that happen to the people of golf now that it's kind of right here in front as a topic that the PGA needs to do something because they're losing ratings. What we're suggesting here as a companion product solves a lot of that problem, because we are not aiming to be the best in the world. We are aiming to be creators, and we want a place for creators to play that's made for creators and by creators. And we want to preserve the top level of competition for the PGA and LIV and DP World Tour and all the other places that facilitate the best in the world. We just think that it's going to work out best like that. Don't change the top level product into a monster. Sorry. So let's get into rule modernization. I want to have like either a live discussion about this, or I want to have another video where we possibly bring on other creators and other people who are familiar in this particular area of the space and pick their brain and have a nice discussion with comments and things like that. So while I'm here, alone making this one for you, I don't really want to jump into all the details of it, but some rules are ones that just stand out. You go on any post where anybody says, what rule would you change if you could? And the first dang one every time is, you've guessed it, the divot rule. Everyone on God's green earth wants to be able to move the ball out of a divot, and the PGA just will not oblige. And I think that this one maybe is one particular where you could do it on the PGA, and it doesn't it's not like turning anything into a monster quite yet, but it does tarnish records, because if everyone gets a ball in hand basically every time they're in a divot, it could add up to records that would not really be fair, and it would change eras, and then you would have possible asterisks on things, and it just gets so muddy from there, and you just don't want to change the game like that. So, but in a series like this, what we're proposing, we could have these rules from the outset, and we could change them all the time. It doesn't really matter, because this is a space for creators, and creators do weird, wacky things. PGA is like the best in the world playing the game as it was intended, and that's the difference. Another rule would be like grounding. So like grounding in any surface, like you should just be able to ground your club no matter where you are. Like, come on. It's silly. We're in 2025 now, and we're still Like you can't ground your club here, but you can ground your club there, and but you can do it here, but not over there. It's a little bit weird. So ground your club everywhere, take your ball out of a divot. How about tree roots? Ball laying up against a tree root. Come on. Not something that we would want to change from the PGA, but hey, we're creators. We're not the best in the world. No one's trying to break a club or a wrist. We just want to hit the dang ball. Let's give somebody a club length from a tree root. Why not? Those are some suggestions about rule modernization. There would be many, many more. I imagine these are things that we could chat about in more of a live setting or a discussion setting. But all right, so moving on to segment number 5, real golf courses. Play on full-length, challenging courses. Okay, so what I mean by full-length, challenging courses is not just play entire golf courses, but playing holes that are their entire hole. So not having it on like a par 3 only course, or, like that's cool and all, but for an actual golf tour for creators, we would want to play on real golf courses on real holes and pretty much set it up in a slightly different way than normal, but a similar setup to a PGA week event, but maybe only on a few select holes. And that's how we would accomplish an intimate setting that would be great for a creator tour. This actually does showcase the skills that the creators do have while golfing, and it's not one-dimensional like an entire course of par 3s. Plus, this offers the opportunity to partner with iconic golf courses and places that we want to show off or want to be showed off. It's just definitely going to be a much better solution to play in the daytime and on real golf courses with real holes. The next pillar is a monster. This is one of the pillars that was just announced in this last week, and it is a draft system. Basically, creating balanced teams and exciting narratives is what a draft does. It makes it where it's not all about stacking teams and creating a narrative versus letting a narrative happen. Draft systems are the way that gets done, and a draft is absolutely necessary for the success of this venture or creator tour. A draft elevates competition and shows off skills, and that's definitely something we are all interested in watching. Plus, many other sports are very successful with their drafts, and people love them. People bet on them. People get all into them. It's draft day drama, and that's something that would be incredible for creator golf. In this last week, the Grass League has deployed a draft. They are going to launch in May of this year, I think April or May of this year. It is going to start taking signups here in just a couple of more weeks. So be prepared to see your friends Birdie Fever down there in AZ trying to hit the draft jackpot and win a spot onto the Grass League. When we saw Todd Dobson announce this and announce it in a flyer, we were jumping around because this is the first time that it seems that somebody has thought of this idea. And again, this is all stuff that we had in our roadmap the entire time. We just weren't able to get into what we wanted to get into. We had this in our roadmap, and it was a very big part of it because we want the drama, but not only do we want the draft day drama, do we want to, get the teams in a fair way and just have another event to publicize for this tour to make even more media attention around it. We want to make sure that we're fostering the inspiration from the creators that don't even know that they're going to be creators. We want to make sure that everyone has a place to be. And that's where a lot of these creator events have failed in the past, is that they're all invitationals. There's even some that call themselves opens, which is laughable because they were always just invitationals. These are just inviting the elite. Nobody really wants to see that. I mean, I won't say nobody, but Many people don't want to see just the elite compete against each other and the same 12 channels competing against each other all the time. They want to see real drama. They want to see people take a gamble and hit. They want to see a team get picked in a draft that's a long shot and end up being a great pick and an underdog that takes them all down. Who doesn't want to see stuff like that? Not a whole bunch of guys that are basically at the exact same level, just pretty much playing matches outside of the creator tournaments like the Creator Classic, and then you all get together 3 times a year, once a year, twice a year to just almost showboat. Like there's nothing serious about it, and there's other pillars that are going to explain more of that too. So we'll get on to it, but that's the idea, is that it just makes it all more real and more authentic as well. So some of these pillars actually feed into each other. So this next pillar is qualifying criteria. We believe that there needs to be clear pathways for all creators to participate. You don't want to lock it out to certain creators because they don't have 100,000 followers, or you don't want to lock them out because they're not necessarily good enough. We feel like if somebody can play clean golf, they have a decent following, and they seem to be very serious about being a creator, that is pretty good qualifying criteria. Obviously, there can be more talks about that, but there needs to be multiple checkpoint criteria, because there are creators out there that have bought followers. They don't really have a following as large as it seems. And it's evidenced by them getting very, very low view counts on their shorts and other videos when they have 20, 30, 40 times the amount of followers other people have, that are getting more views and more engagement. And it just doesn't make any sense. Using that as the only criteria for your tournament doesn't make much sense. And that's currently pretty much what's happening now. If you look at the Creator Cup and all of those things, there's not really anybody who has like 20,000 followers. And I know some pretty popular 20,000 to 50,000 follower creators out there that are pretty well known, but they never get a chance. Our idea is definitely different in that way, where we would include many, many of those people. This creates a pathway for people to start up as creators and have something to aspire to, instead of just knowing that it's a popularity contest that they can't win. And of course, we would propose a specific qualifying process that would be right out in the open. You have like a criteria and then a draft. So that would be our idea behind it. All right, and with qualifying criteria out of the way, we have the next pillar of success, team golf. We do believe in team golf. Team golf is not something that should be for the PGA. I don't even necessarily think that it should be for LIV, but for the creator side of things, team golf is very, very awesome and should be the way that creator golf is played. It promotes collaboration and inclusivity, which is what being a creator is all about. We understand that this might be controversial, but this also is one way where we can get a lot of creators involved. So imagine having multiple players on a team. Like, I don't mean like 3 or 4. I mean like way more, like 12, 16, possibly, even 24 players per squad. Team golf brings excitement, camaraderie, gives you a different thing to look at when you're watching the event live or in person. You can play a lot of different formats as well that make it even more fun. So we do have an idea for singles, which we explained in the episode about the Creator Tour. Maybe there'd be like a singles event out of some certain qualifiers from the regular season play of this Creator Tour. So you would have a singles championship at the end after the 6 to 8 other events. And it would be like a qualified, process from the other events. Then you would duke it out with maybe the top 72 or something. So the next pillar is going to be another controversial one, female inclusion. We believe that having a mandated female on each team playing in the event is a mandatory thing. And the reason why is because that way everybody is represented at least in a little bit, even though the population of the world is pretty split. At least having one female golfer would bring something for the ladies watching out there, and also for the guys who like to watch the ladies. Let's not lie. We're talking about creators here. The reason many of these female golfers have blown up is because they are beautiful. Someone's got to say it. I might get canceled for it. However, it's a reality regardless of what you say. So if you show me someone who is not extremely attractive that has 4+ million viewers or followers, let me know. Let me know who it is. We have to be real sometimes, and being authentic is being real. The female inclusion just adds a bunch of spice to the game. The tournaments that have the female players always do very, very well. Like the tournament that we're going to in Arizona, the PGA Memes. There's plenty of female influencer golfers there. It does bring a good crowd, and it has a good vibe when it's just not all dudes. The all dudes tour is the PGA Tour and the Live Tour. And if you want the all dudes tour, you can watch that tour. This is the Creator Tour. It's not the all dudes tour. And here comes another very controversial one. And to be honest, I don't even have the full idea of how to implement this. And it would take a massive amount of discussion and involvement from other people who are probably smarter than me. It wouldn't be easy, but we think that it could be a necessary step. And because it's the Creator Tour and not the PGA Tour, we can get it done. This pillar is the implementation of a handicap system. There has to be some sort of handicap involved because these creator tournaments can quickly turn into blowouts without some sort of either format difference or even some sort of qualifying handicap. It's going to be difficult for anyone who's not the best of the creators to be on top. And that's not exactly what creator golf is about, but we do want to compete. So how do you put a +5 guy up against a 7? There's a 12-stroke difference in between those two people, and pretty much the 7 handicap has 0 chance unless the +5 would be having like a worst day of his life. So there's got to be some way that you can handicap it. And since it's team play, you might be able to handicap it that way. You basically have a cap. You can't go below like a 5 handicap or something for your entire team. So you can't have +5, +5, +5, +5. You have to have like a scratch golfer and then like a 9, like a 7 and a 5 or something like that. So that way the teams come out pretty even. So if you take a guy who's like a +4, then they can't play with someone who's just insane, And that would be maybe the way to do it. Caps can be used as handicap, but still played as scratch with an entering average is what they call that. You can argue, what the number is, but that way you're kind of fitting the puzzle of the team. And if someone's handicap changes between events, that could be a good thing because then it could kind of shake things up where you have to grab another player from your roster in order to field the right team. I think that could be really, really cool. So this is a big one. And I don't think so controversial, but definitely there'll be discussions, I'm sure, around all of these topics. But this one is an intimate atmosphere. And so this is where it gets a little interesting. We would want to keep an intimate and fun atmosphere during these Creator Tour events for the people that are there and the people that are watching around the world at home on YouTube. So I'm going to paint a picture of the ideal environment, okay? So we would obviously want to walk through the pillars here that we've talked about so far, which is we'd want an authentic experience with a YouTube focus, daytime play, stupid rule modernization on a real golf course after having a draft system in place with qualifying criteria, playing team golf with females included, handicapped or entering average maxed in an intimate atmosphere. So this is what we're talking about, building a PGA Tour experience where you have grandstands and things like that. But say you only take like 3 holes or 6 holes of the course and you just don't mess with the other holes and they're not part of the event. And you have that 6 holes be the gauntlet for the event. You have a couple par 4s, a couple par 3s, and a couple par 5s. Why couldn't we do that? We could totally do that. And it would be the best absolute atmosphere ever. We would be able to load up, imagine loading up all the grandstands that you have on a full 18-hole course and putting them into 6 holes, allowing your patrons to just kind of like walk all over those 6 holes freely. And then that way you're not walking like across the entire map. Everybody's right there. It's just an intimate setting. It makes for everything to be awesome. So that is one big one that we have that I don't really see anybody doing. They play either a limited number of holes, like they play like 8 holes or 9 holes, but they're just playing all the holes. And they're not like repeating the holes, and it's not super intimate. Like if you're playing 18 holes, regardless if they're par 3s, it's not really intimate. We disagree with some of the ways that it's gone down before, and we think that that is one big pillar. The next pillar we're going to talk about is a monster: brand integration. So whereas people, ask for sponsors and things like that in other events, or you get a title sponsor or something like that, this tour would have brands integrated into the tour itself, meaning they could be even team owners. Imagine you have all the things that we just wrapped off, and now you have teams that are owned by brands. Imagine Lab Golf having a team. Imagine Bettinardi having a team. Imagine Titleist having a team, Callaway having a team. Maybe Ghost Golf has a team. Maybe True Linkswear has a team. Who knows who would be the sponsors and who would jump on? Like we were saying in the last episode, you could potentially have where brands are registered with the tour, similar to how the PGA Tour is. We would let it be open to all brands to join up. They might have to pay. They might have to at least kind of like register and know that they're going to be a player or whatever it is, but the teams could be owned by brands. They could be owned by people. They could be owned by creators. They could be owned by business people, similar to how the Grass League is. There's like a mix of like entertainment people, sports people mixed with like sports agencies, and people just connected to sports in the celebrity world are pretty much the owners of most of the Grass League teams, and business people. So there's that way too. And that could be cool because, business people sometimes have the most money, but brands have money too. And if they had a team and sponsored that team and sponsored all the people on that team, the brand synergy would just be off the charts. It would be an incredible atmosphere. Like, oh man, you play for Lab? That's so awesome. And just the fans would just be into it, Brand bonanza, basically. There would be all types of different ways that brands could get in on this, but because it's a creator tour and because brands and creators have synergy, the tour needs to be laden with brands. Brand bonanza. It needs to be over the top. How else would you expect for us to be putting this on YouTube, and possibly only on YouTube, so that we could get the most exposure and have the most accessibility? Somebody's got to pay the piper. This could be the way the piper gets paid. I just don't see it as a big deal. Brand creators are nearly sellouts, or pretty much sellouts by nature. We're all pumping things that people know that we're being compensated or to promote. Why not just embrace it? Like, it's already being embraced in the creator space, like just across social media, but why not have an entire tour that's like that? You don't have to really have commercials. Your commercials would just be like in the broadcast and it would be seamless. Lots of different ideas there, and anything can go. Brand integration sums it up in the best 2 words that we have to describe the relationship we feel the brand should have with this tour. So the next pillar, engaging MCs. We would want people to enhance the broadcast and the live experience at the same time. And it could be done by a multitude of people or just maybe 1 or 2. We need a hype man there for the people there and also for the people watching the broadcast on YouTube and whatever else is being streamed. Or maybe if it's being streamed somewhere else to another broadcast company, maybe they don't engage with the MC and it's not part of their broadcast and it's only on the YouTube one. But in any case, the YouTube one and for the fans that are there need a hype ass MC or a group of hype MCs kind of going around different holes is going to make the actual production amazing. These people could be giving away items right then and there, like on the spot, pulling people out of the crowd, bringing them on the green, having them try to make a putt, offering them prizes. So much that can be done though, but like just kind of like hyping things up and keeping that downtime that golf has and keeping it fun. And those ideas definitely need to be discussed. So again, this would be something we want to discuss on a live stream or somewhere where there's a discussion. The next one could quite possibly be in the top 3. I would say it is mic'd up players. The players need to be mic'd up and they need to be mic'd up always and completely. This is something that's huge. This is something that the match failed at. They couldn't figure out the technology part of it to make it work, and there were technical difficulties. They were muting the mics continually. The great thing about creators is that we're used to playing on camera, being on camera, performing on camera. We don't have problems playing or performing on camera. You know, pros get nervous with cameras shoved in their face. I mean, as long as we have room to hit the ball, we don't care. That's a huge plus that creators and a creator tour could have over those top tier tours. Those guys are playing the hardest game in the world and trying to play it at the best possible level that anyone has ever seen. It's a different atmosphere. We kind of understand it at that point. You need maximum concentration. This environment would not provide that. And the environment that they're kind of going down the road of right now, they're trying to get creators to consult to them on how they can do it, but we don't feel that they're going to be able to have a middle ground because it's going to distract from the players. They're going to get mad and they're not going to want to participate. It's just how it is. We, on the other hand, as influencers and creators would not have a problem with that. And so it's not the end of the world if we make a bad shot. Here's another monster pillar, exhibition content. Exhibition content is absolutely one of the best of these pillars. Because you are going to have large teams, right? There's not going to be a way for those large teams to have all of their people on the roster play in every event, every one of the major events. You want to have the exhibition content all throughout the downtime and gaps between those events. So if you're only going to have 6 to 8 events plus maybe 2 others, like a singles championship and possibly some sort of team battle royale Ryder Cup like event at the very, very end, you got 6 to 8 events that you're going to run, and that leaves a bunch of gap during the year, right? So during those gap times, you would want to run a ton of exhibition content with the team. And this is where you would include those other players that were the kind of extras, but they're not really extras. They could go in at any time to the big show, but this is a way that you can introduce them and play matches and they can still be a part of all the content. I know as being a small creator myself, I understand that if I don't get to play a major event, I don't get to play a major event. There's a lot of people that are there, but it doesn't mean that I can't be part of a team, can't play exhibition content, and be continually around those other bigger creators, learning from them, networking with them, and the whole thing just gets better because of that. So definitely a huge one because it maintains the hype and the engagement between all of the other events. And the 16th pillar is a monster. And this is where other events have also failed. Some have tried and some have failed. Prize money. Prize money. You have to have prize money in order to get the creators to want to do this and compete hard, as well as the fans to engage and understand that it's for something. These exhibition events are not watched. Some of these events are not watched because the people don't have any sort of consequence or prize that is at the end of these tournaments. And so they're just kind of like boring to watch. It's just a bunch of people kind of like talking a bit and, looking into their golf thoughts. And it's fun, but it just gets old super quick. So if no one's winning any money and there's nothing at stake, or there's no consequence, or there's no big prize or something, even if it were, just a trip or whatever, like it's gotta be something, and it's gotta be something significant. Prize money would incentivize competition and attract the top talent to come to the tour. We also believe that the creators on this tour should be paid. Not only the prize money, they should be paid a stipend for the team. So like the team would get like a team stipend, or maybe the players would get a team stipend or whatever. But whoever went into the slots of the team for those bigger major events would, let's say, get paid. If they didn't, or they paid everybody on the team, I don't know how they would equal that out, but it's just, again, this is something that would be up for discussion. But creators have to get paid at least what they are reimbursed, and then have a prize to compete for. So where some of these have failed is that they offered the compensation for the travel, but they didn't offer any prize money. So they weren't playing for anything. They were just playing for bragging rights. And that's not fun. Definitely prize money pool, which could also be put up by the brands. So the brands are a big part of this because they would be paying for most of this, but getting incredible return for their money. They would be getting eyes everywhere, logos blasted everywhere. This is not the PGA Tour. This would be basically a creator style tour. So you're just used to having brands and sponsorships, and it's not a thing. It's the same as everything else. Before we move on to the segment 2 of this section, the technology part of it is kind of like pillar number 17. The Par 4 app, or something similar to it, would be the running technology and backbone of this tour and other tours. Essentially, they would host standings, they would host stats, they would host videos, they would host the exhibition content. There's a big opportunity for that company to integrate with this product. That's why we were chasing both of them and trying to invest in both of them at the same time, was because we knew that it had a high potential for return on investment in an overarching strategy with the two. So much ability for fan interaction and exclusive content to go over that app for the fans, and it just would be a golf central hub. If they had like literally sections for PGA, DP World Tour, Live Tour, Creator Tour, Korn Ferry Tour, and Epson Tour for the ladies, and the LPGA Tour, they have all these different sections where you could go in and just kind of be in like the world of those tours, like the world of the PGA, the world of the LPGA, the world of the Creator Tour. All the videos from there, you could have the content creators have like higher level privileges to make posts and things, right? Where it would show it like as featured content when a creator made something about the tour, and then you can have it there, and then people can get that content whenever they want. So it's like a centralized hub for these tours, and that's something that would be really important with the app. The other thing is that even potentially be part of the broadcasting technology. When we were saying like live shot tracer and things like that, it's quite possible that a lot of this technology would mold or meld into the broadcast that would be going back out to YouTube, so that you would have like the spot on the hole that they were on, and you would have a good little map view, and you would have all that stuff, instead of it being so basic or so advanced like the PGA Tour, which it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to have like all these like 3D modelings of the holes and all that, but it would just be cool to have what's like on Par 4 right now, where there's just like a basic map on the side, and you can see where they're at on the hole, and the way the hole goes and the arrangement of the hole and where the green is, and then be able to watch the video at the same time knowing that's where they were on the hole. It could definitely integrate with the entire operation for the entire tour. So after explaining all of that, which I know is a ton of information, I'm sure that you have tons of questions and tons of things that you want to discuss. But those are the pillars for golf creator success. And there could be more, but these particular ones we feel are exactly what is needed in order to achieve success out of a creator tour product. And definitely would offer a companion or even a competitor tour system to whatever else is out there now. And with the eyeballs that all of the creators have and their collectivism there, it could definitely be even bigger than these other tours. It just depends. Right now, creator golf is so big and getting so many eyeballs that it's not impossible to think that that could be a reality. And we're quickly finding out that alternative things are working. The Grass League has had a little bit of success. The TGL is having some decent success, and that's even using PGA Tour players. I think that the Grass League is the coolest, most receptive one to doing things. I just think that some of the things that it was based on go against these pillars that we're talking about. But again, they implemented the draft system this last week, and they implemented a match just 2 days ago against a live team and broadcasted it on YouTube. So look at that. They just literally had 3 pillars that are brand new to their system in 1 week. How many others will they deploy after maybe seeing this, getting wind of it, or somebody telling them that got wind of this? I'm telling you, they think it's one of their strong points, and we think it's one of their downfalls, and that's the daytime play. They want to play at night, and they want to have a nighttime atmosphere. Kind of a difference of opinion, but it is what it is. So our question is, which creator golf initiatives are already embracing this pillar, and how are they benefiting from it? So authenticity is YouTube golf and Instagram golf. That's where the authenticity is. Most of it is the YouTube focus, obviously on YouTube. There's not really any other people doing that. However, the good desert event that is scheduled for next week that we will be attending is going to be broadcasted on the Golf Channel as well as YouTube. So look at that. They finally are figuring it out. Hopefully they don't do like a split one like they did last time where you have to watch like the end of it on the paid channel. It just needs to be a simulcast, man. Have a bridge for the older people that use legacy television to watch, and then also you have the YouTube for everybody out there to watch. The broadcast networks are just trying to protect their own skin, and they're trying to make deals and stuff where there has to be an exclusivity, and we just don't feel that it needs to be like that. YouTube is where it all started, and you can't abandon it. All right, so now on to segment 2, Par 4, the catalyst for change. Par 4, or a similar super app, will be the engine that drives the creator revolution. If there is a tour that someone can aspire to from the very bottom at the ground level, not even started, doesn't even have 1 follower right now as we're speaking, but they see that there's a tour launched, they're decent at golf, and it's something that they want to chase, they would likely want to just start an account on this golf super app, or potentially, whatever, on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. But if there were something else to aspire to in the sport of golf other than the stuffy, boring, quiet, and just plain clicky elite PGA Tour, wouldn't you want to do it? Golf is such a great game, and it's, I think, the best game on the planet. But when your top level doesn't carry the aspirations of an entire large group of individuals, there is something wrong. I don't think it needs to be a replacement. I think that it's possible that it could, but I just don't think it can ever replace the best in the world. There's nothing that's ever done that. The best in the world have always had a stage to play, and I think that that's how it should continue to be. But there are instances of different things that are not the best in the world that have wild success. And we're going to get into those in just a few moments. But before we do, I have a question for you. How can a golf super app connect players, creators, and fans in a way that's never been done before? I think we've explained that well enough throughout the series, so I think we're just going to pretty much move on right here. But I still want to hear it from you guys on this video now that you're even in deeper than before. Post those comments, questions, concerns, flames, whatever you want to do. Send it. All right, so moving on to section 3. This one is going to be pretty wild, and you guys are going to think it came out of nowhere, but it came out of some very, very deep thought. A lot of where I think the future may actually be. And this is just like all around, not just in general to golf, but I think that in many areas of our lives these days, the Hunger Games and Ready Player One parallels. Okay, so there's 2 movies, right? Hunger Games is a series. Ready Player One was one movie. Being in the technology world and seeing the patterns between those movies and like kind of what's happening out in the world, there are some similarities, right? And there's some parallels that are undeniable. And so the rise of creator golf mirrors the captivating narratives of the Hunger Games and Ready Player One. Audiences crave competition, community, and a sense of shared experience. The reason why those movies were such a success was that there was a system that was set up for them, and the people who become the heroes are not part of that elite system. And they come up from not in that elite system and then end up becoming the supreme whatever. Sorry if I ruined these movies for you, but they ended up getting what they wanted in the end and becoming whatever it is they wanted to be, whether it was freedom they wanted or whatever. They ended up winning against all odds, beating these big elite systems against all odds. I think that this whole movement of creator golf has that kind of like parallel. And I think that a creator tour would be just like that as well. There's even a layer of it inside the creator space. So there's like the whole overarching like golf, right? And the stuffiness and elite of golf kind of coming down on everyone. But then there's like inside the creator space, there's like a level of that. So you have like a bubble at the top of these particular creator accounts that all kind of like commingle and play with each other and make content and scab for the PGA Tour and live. And then you have all of these other creators that are genuine in their own right, and they have great channels. The room's full, right? The bus is full until some of those other creators either just kind of drop off or quit or die or retire or whatever it is. There is not really going to be room for anyone else. They might let 1 or 2 new people a year into their club. And that's just not realistic because there are like thousands of creators now, like literally thousands. For the game of golf to grow, one would think that there needs to be another product. There needs to be another product that gets wide attention, and all of these things are falling into place where the technology is possible to make it happen. The need is there to make it happen. The want is there to make it happen. I think we're at a crossroads really of where it can go there or not go there. We're sure entertaining it here, aren't we? And so we're hoping that you guys agree with us. If you don't, either way, we want to hear from you. I'm going to ask another question. How can creator golf tap into these powerful storytelling elements to captivate a wider audience? And that would be like the Hunger Games and Ready Player One parallels. If you guys have seen those movies or you're buffs of those movies, you guys will totally get what I'm talking about. We're going to take someone from District 9. We're going to send them to this thing and they're going to have success, or they might have success. They might not. We're going to watch their journey through these supplemental type matches that we could have, broadcast them on the super app or YouTube or both. And we're going to be able to watch these journeys of all of these people, like could be hundreds. It's just insane. It's just insane what it could be. We want to hear your thoughts. So let's move on to segment 4, disrupting the status quo. Here's where we get into it. Just as the WWF or WWE, UFC, and the Savannah Bananas shook up their respective sports, creator golf has the potential to disrupt the traditional golf landscape. We talked about this before in earlier episodes that it wasn't going to be without a fight. because these top level organizations have dedicated decades, tons of millions of dollars of capital, and just own the sport. But by Liv socking the PGA in the mouth, we think that this revolution was born where it wasn't seemingly impossible anymore to rise up to get attention by just being authentic and having a good time. And that is what this would be all about, authentic and a good time for the fans, for the creators. It would just be amazing. So it has the power to disrupt. Look at the UFC. What if the UFC just said, traditional Greco-Roman wrestling and karate and boxing are all they're all good enough. And what if the UFC had never taken elements from all of those things and allowed a rule set and gave a forum, a foundation for these people to fight? If that had never happened, there would be no UFC. And we're talking about, there's been over 300 UFCs now. You got to admit, that's pretty awesome. Is the UFC bigger than boxing? Well, there were some things with boxing that made it, where people thought it was staged. There's lots of different shady things that happen with decisions and things like that. And UFC was able to kind of come in there and mess around. The WWF or WWE, they kind of took a whole nother route where they took something that was real, turned it into something that was staged, and kind of embraced that it's staged, but put on a show. This doesn't have to be that. It's more of putting on a show, but actually competing and being authentic in our case for the golf creator world. These are examples of people that have done that. And then the Savannah Bananas, who have probably the best story of all. The gentleman who owns it basically went bankrupt and I think mortgaged his house and just didn't stop and believed that this would be big someday, and actually complements the game of baseball now. They are days away right now, as we're speaking here, from going on their first world tour. They sell out instantly for unseen amounts of money and then get scalped on top of that for more money. Imagine selling out a football stadium with 81,000 people in it. That's what the Savannah Bananas just did. Anything is possible. You just need to believe and somebody's got to put in the effort. That's kind of what it comes down to. There is an opportunity here for somebody to be the Dana White or the gentleman that owns the Savannah Bananas or the Vince McMahon. All of those people took initiatives and pushed all in. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Is we've felt for a while now, since even we entered the creator space a year ago, that there would be somebody by now who would have amassed a big enough following and fortune to do this, to foster this. We thought it was going to be good. We thought they were building up to it because they started running creator events. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that they might not still be it. They're still seemingly making moves towards it, but they do still go after the non-golfer. And you can be a golfer and be many other things, but they're not exactly catering to just golf creators. They keep bringing in other large celebrities from other areas of the internet, like gaming and some other sports stars and things like that just can play golf. And they bring them in and they use them rather than other creators. And that's where we're like, no, there's like a better way. Like, that's cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's just not for everybody. And there's no way into it. They're just invitationals. I think that they're embracing the invitational this time with the 12-man knockout that they're doing. So they're going to do, I think it's like 6 teams of 2. Or something like that. And they're going to do a 12-man knockout in the desert in Arizona next week on February 5th. So February 5th evening time. So be sure to check that out. I think it's going to be an awesome event. And I'm actually attending live. So this is going to be super cool. Going to get to meet a lot of these guys and just kind of witness them actually get to see them play like live and not, cut and everything else. So it's going to be fun. That is one thing that we do feel that could have and should have happened, is that people that have amassed fortunes and amassed fortuitous followings, they could have given back by now in this way where they created something like this and then enshrine their legacy going forward. Whereas they're kind of like gambling, because if somebody comes up and creates this and gets bigger than them, they'll no longer be the biggest thing in the space. This will. And so they'll be big and they might play in it, they might not, but Good has purchased a team in the grass league, and we don't know if team ownership in the grass league means exclusive. We don't know what those contracts look like, right? So they could have a particular contract that bars them from playing or owning any other team in any other league. If that is a thing, then they've thrown all their chips into one basket. That's wild, because the grass league, it's good, but they still need to make a lot of changes, and they're making right changes. So we applaud Todd Dobson and their team at the grass league right now. They've made better moves in the last week than they have the entire other time that they've been operating. Excited for that, excited for them, but it seems that they're still going to have a focus on the best golfers. That product it already has a system. It's still a good idea, so I don't want to not sound like I'm knocking it, but I'm just being critical of it, and I'm saying I just don't know that it has the same appeal as what this would have, where you have proven brand creator relationships, proven brand integration basically to the creator space, and then you're giving them a place to play where they have a proven following. Whereas the grass league is taking these guys that are nobody online, maybe somebody's in the world of golf or their local communities of golf or whatever, and then they're bringing them into the grass league hoping that they'll kind of sprout. But the problem with that is that they're not able to be buffing these people up to the world because they're not creators. So that's where it's they tried to get, a couple of the teams put creators on. So they put DOD King on there with Chetty from Freezer Tarps. They kind of just did their thing. That was probably get wasted and come in last. They're just out there because somebody told them to go, or they got compensated, or whatever it is. This tour would be something like that, but that's why you have a purse, so that it still does get a little personal, which creates that rivalry and that edge. So you have it all. They're comfortable to where they're not paying their way like a PGA Tour player, because we have other parts of our lives and we have businesses and other things. We're not PGA Tour players. We're not kids. We don't all live with our parents, adults, and we have responsibilities and things like that as well, but we can get together 6 to 8 times, I'm sure. And so those are our main thoughts on that part of disrupting the status quo. My question to you guys is, what lessons can we learn from these successful disruptors? How can Creator Golf challenge conventions and create a more exciting and inclusive future for the game? Beautiful question there. And we'd love you to answer it. So please drop your thoughts in the comments. All right, moving on to segment 5, the gathering momentum. The recent surge in creator-focused initiatives proves that the golf world is waking up to the power of this movement. This is where we really come into everything. You have all of these things coming to a head right now, where the technology is just becoming available. You have the space in the place that it's in. You have the creator space in general rising faster than anything. It's all coming to a head at one time. And this is where we feel this is the explosion. This is the volcano eruption. Some of the things that we've noticed just over the last few weeks, this is the evidence that all of this is kind of about to happen. So the first one was the PGA Creator Council. So they employed some top creators, and they're consulting with the PGA Tour to help them try to make better, more personable, more authentic productions. And they think that is going to help them. But like I said, these guys are the best in the world. There are going to be people who are going to not embrace this, and they don't have to, based on their contracts that we know of, at least. Do you think that the people who don't speak English or very good English are going to be walking around getting translated and on a broadcast? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're going to now have an advantage over anybody who's sitting there talking to a microphone and not paying attention to the shot they need to take. These guys are not like us. They're used to cameras being in their face, but they're not being used to having to answer questions, talk, be personable while they're on the golf course. They're literally hyper-focused on their caddy and the shot at hand. And it's just not going to work. There's going to be maybe a few of them that will engage. And when they start playing like crap, they're not compared to the field, because none of them play like crap. Let's be real. They'd all wipe the floor with any of us any day, but they're going to play less than their ability, and they're not going to like it. And they're going to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. It's just not going to work. You can't make the PGA Tour into a monster. Just don't do it. Let us take something like this and make a companion to it and have another space for people to watch this type of stuff. And you guys keep the PGA Tour the top level of the sport. Okay? Handshake. The second one that we've noticed is all of the Grant Horvat collaborations that have come up recently, where he kind of partnered with Phil Mickelson and did a whole bunch of collaborations with other people that are super high level pros, and he's just doing a lot of videos with them now. And so that's, pretty much, again, another prediction that we made was that there's going to be a bubble at the top. There's going to be a few people let into this thing, and then that's it. The bus is going to get full. And after the bus is full, and they've run a full mesh pattern of all the players who are willing to participate and all the creators that are in there, the short list of creators that have access, what happens then? What do you have at that point? I mean, we don't think that they're going to make a creator team on Live, and we don't think that they're going to just start allowing creators to play in the PGA Tour events. They might have qualifiers where they allow those people to play in those, and if they somehow have the best round of their life that day, that they could make an event. And then there's always the Bryans, and they're great players, great dudes, great entertainers too. They're like two guys out of thousands of people that have all those qualities and skills at the same time. We're just not hopeful that anything is going to really change. They're going to try some stuff, piss a bunch of their legacy fans off, and then it's just going to be more of them defecting and watching nothing or watching other sports, or they're going to lose ground to nothing. Essentially, that people will want to watch nothing more than they want to watch a broadcast of somebody trying to fish around for stuff. Nobody wants to watch that. So another one that's come up really recently was the Live Golf and Rick Shields partnership. So Rick Shields came out and announced that he's basically going to do nothing but season-long content and team matches for Live, which was a surprise to many. And we didn't exactly have that particular thing on our bingo card, but we did know that someone was going to be the liaison to Live because the PGA created the Creator Council. So whatever PGA does, Live does as well, or they try to improve upon it, or they try to do something, but they just fully embraced it and went crazier because the PGA didn't even announce that they had any plans for the actual creators. They just said that they created the council with some of these top creators just to liaison to the players, to try to see players and the league to try to see if they could build some systems for them to be more personable and get more viewers from the internet. Like I said, don't have any faith in it. I don't have any faith in it. I don't believe that the game at their level can be played and done exactly what we're doing. There's just only so few people that can do it. No matter what, it takes away from your game. When I'm on camera, I have a good time and I can still play well. I can still make some crazy shots, but it does take away from my game. I will be the first to admit it. I'm probably 3 strokes higher on camera. There'll be one thing that I want to be an entertainer and I'll be talking, and then that talking will recycle in my brain as I'm going to hit a shot, and I'm not fully concentrating on what I need to do. And it might be something you don't even notice, like a chip that just doesn't get close enough to make a 1-putt, or even a putt that just doesn't get even close enough, and I have to sweat a second putt and maybe miss it even in 3-putt. It's all the little touchy stuff that it really affects. Not so much the big shots, but tee shots and field shots are not that different. But when you're putting and you're chipping, especially, you're super focusing on a specific distance, specific spot, and you just can't take your mind off of it. Then you have this thought run through your mind, it's hard to back off. So these guys are not going to be able to do that. You're just not. It's funny because they think they can, which is great. They're going to quickly find out that they don't. So that was huge. Rick Shields and Live Golf. That's going to be a season-long deal. But again, what happens when he's played with all the people who want to participate? What does he do after that? Does he just retire? Put your comments and your thoughts down in the comments and let's see where we think it's going to go. When we think it's over, we don't see anything for him. He already said in a video that he doesn't want to travel around and play. So it's weird that he did what he did And it makes us think that he just did it for the contract itself because he already said that he didn't want to travel around like a circus. Also, I feel like play for nothing makes a lot of sense too. Like if you're playing for nothing, then yeah, like that sucks. But if you're playing for a prize pool, or not a prize pool, but you're playing for some sort of giveaway or something, I don't know how they would structure it because of like the pro amateur thing, but there's some legal way around it. I know 100% fact there has to be. Like you can do it in some sort of other deal, like maybe they're giving a brand deal or something. That might be the way to do it. Like whoever wins gets a brand deal. So the first week it's Titleist, second week it's this, second week it's that, whatever it is. They get say you have like, you got Lab, you got Titleist, you got Callaway, you got Ghost Golf. I don't know. Whatever. Those are just the ones that came to my head. What if you had them puts up a dowry or something, gets them a sponsorship or something? I'm not sure how it would work. You could figure out some way around that pro amateur thing to get somebody something that'd be worthwhile. So another one we just saw was the Grass League and their draft system, like we just mentioned, and exhibition matches. So that was 2 on their part. And then Good and Callaway sponsorships. So Good just sponsored pros like Joel Damon, and Callaway just sponsored Legion 13, which is John Rahm's live team, which had never been before done either. So now you have a brand actually sponsoring a team inside of live. So this is very much the idea that we had, again, months and months ago. It was just announced this last week that was a thing. It's eerie how all of these things are happening that have never been before done, and it's all been within the last week. And we've been working on this for a long time. Then you add the Good Desert event has dual streaming on Golf Channel and YouTube. They did streaming before, dual streaming. They did before, but then they cut it and there was like the final round or something, or the back 9 or whatever it was. They cut the feed from YouTube and went over to Peacock and no one could watch it. And then you had to wait like a day or 2 before they put it up and you couldn't see it. So if you didn't have Peacock, you were just kind of asked out to see the end of the match or the end of the tournament. It was kind of like, what the heck? I get it, but it just wasn't cool at all. This one, hopefully they'll dual stream the whole time on both platforms and see how it comes out. I'm sure there's an agreement that can be made with those broadcast companies where they're still getting their legacy customers. Like you're getting your customer base. Like you don't have to pay a ton to have the broadcasting rights. Like it should just be a small fee that that like Good and the tournament are getting to like help out. But it doesn't have to be like some giant massive contract, because if you're going to stream to YouTube, then you're going to cut into that broadcast company's revenue. But you also can't abandon YouTube, because then you're not giving the fans what they want and you're not going to get the eyeballs you want. The happy medium is take a small chunk of money from a broadcast company to broadcast it, then simulcast to YouTube. And that's exactly what they're doing. So this is interesting because this is the first one where they might fully broadcast it to YouTube. So we haven't really seen that yet, I don't think. And then the major one that was literally out of left field for these guys. This is a clue to the future. So in the Par 4 episodes, I mentioned that there was a company, and I didn't mention their name, but they created a tokenized wagering app that integrated into their main app. And that company is called The Grint. The Grint is what I believe, in my opinion, the best golf app out there. So it's the best like golf GPS like app out there. I think it has the best user interface. It's got a couple of social features that make it kind of cool. They would need to like really improve upon that section of their app, but it's still a beautiful app as it is right now. But now they've added integration to tokenized wagering through this other app that they partnered with called Calcutta. And it uses USDC coin, which is a like widely accepted crypto stable coin that allows for like dollar parity or whatever. It's like basically $1. The Grint is tearing it up. They have just one-upped all other apps out there and created this technology. And so that is very crazy because they do not have a video streaming platform yet. This is what we said before. It's a risk that we assessed when we were trying to invest in the technology. An app like Par 4 or someone like it who's trying to come up and create this beautiful thing that could be the end all be all in the golf space could literally just get undercut by somebody like the Grint. They have a massive user base in the golf space with their app, and their app is great for all the other stuff. It blows everything else away. So if they were to add the video component and add some of those other components we explained in the last 2 episodes, in episode 3 and 4, they would basically take over the space. Whoever creates Shot Tracer first with a video chat and implements it all with golf GPS and scoreboards wins. The rest of it can all take longer to be created, but those 4 core features together are what win the war. If you add in that they also have all the other better on-course features, plus they have a giant user base, I don't see anybody being able to overtake them. I think, sadly, someone like Par4 or another app would have to close its doors. Is the Grint interested in that? Like, are they going after it? But now with the addition of this Calcutta app, it makes you wonder. It could just be they just do that, right? Like they just do the tokenized wagering and they don't change too much in their app. But I think that they're probably wiser than that. So the question I want to ask to you is, who will be the first to fully embrace all 16 pillars and create a truly revolutionary creator golf experience for fans? Who's your money on? Put it down in the comments. So let's get into segment 6, where we're facing resistance. So as I told you before, creator-driven revolution will not come without its challenges. And traditionalists and top tours may resist the change, but the momentum is undeniable. So obviously there's tons of momentum in the space for the creators. They're pretty much taking over the space, invading every nook and cranny of everything holy in the golf space. And there's probably a lot of people who don't like that. I'm seeing people on posts constantly saying, why do I want to watch an influencer? It's just kind of sad because they shouldn't have to be honest. That's the honest thing, is they shouldn't have to. We should stay in our lane and they should stay in their lane. And maybe it would be fun to come together a couple times a year, but to have these like full integrations where now you have Rick Shields just kind of like taking over the live, and you have Grant Horvat kind of in the same area, and it just feels slimy. Rick Shields has lost quite a bit of his following. Percentage-wise, it's not that big, but numbers-wise, it's crazy. Like he lost like 10,000 in his first day and then continued to bleed from there. Some people say once the content starts rolling out, he's going to gain more followers back and then he can get even more than he ever had. Things take dips and they come back up. It doesn't mean it has to. You know, he could have peaked, and this could be a sellout move that people aren't going to tolerate, because now he's kind of riled the base up. And so I think it's actually perfect time with your top creators going up to scab, where something like this could come in and just literally be the bee's knees with people who love creator golf. Who do I think will fully embrace it? Well, I already told you before that I think Good they've been the ones that have been positioned for it. And then once they started building a bigger team, I thought that that's what they were doing, which is crazy because as soon as they started building a bigger team, it was crazy because I had already had works to build a bigger team myself. And we were in talks with the guys in Cali, and we expanded there and built a bigger team ourselves. But it's interesting. And then around the same time, they picked up Melosi and Blake, and then they did J&A afterward. And now they sponsored pros. So now they even went a step above where we thought they would go. Good's kind of just taking over everything golf business-wise, and no fault on them for that. That's good business. They could have spread some of that wealth to build something for the creator space. It's not an obligation, but it would have been nice to see them give back. If you put us in the same position, we would have done it. If we had risen to that much fame and we had the capital as well as the following and as well as the business connections, gosh, I mean, they have it all. They can do what we're proposing here, essentially overnight. Within a few months, they could have this whole thing rolled out. They're at the intersection, whereas many other people aren't. We're not at the intersection. We tried to do it from like a backdoor route where we tried to garner some cash to take some of the technology parts of it and then use other cash to create the tour and using contacts that we had and things like that. But somebody that's already there that has it all doesn't need to go and get money from anyone. At the top of the creator space are going to resist this, and the top people in the golf space are going to resist this. It's going to be a tough road. They stand to lose from this proposition. If this succeeds, it kind of puts them out on an island. The creators are not going to like that because they think that they have all the pivot moves, and they might not. I'm sure if the creators came back to life after going up to the top and failing, or going up to the top and kind of like just burning it out, I imagine some of them would still come back to us. If Garrett or Grant or Micah or the Bryan Bros, if they don't want to play professionally or whatever, they come back and they say like, hey, how do we get in here, guys? There would be no problem to get those guys in. They might not have as advantageous of a deal. I think that they would have got much better deals. They probably could have like owned teams and stuff. They're going to pass on season 1 100% because they're all involved with all these other things, and they're not going to just stop what they're doing and jump on this train. It's going to be interesting though. But the people who do, by the time season 2 rolls around, if it has success, they could be poised for some big, deals and big contracts. My question to you guys out there is, how can we overcome resistance and create a future where creator golf and traditional golf coexist and thrive? Essentially, it always comes down to an argument of like, who's better? The PGA and LIV and those top pros are the better players, but what they're trying to do right now is trying to get better at being entertainers while playing golf. I don't know that it's going to work. It takes creativity and brain power to be an entertainer. Playing the hardest game in the world and doing that at the same time is not going to work out well. Will the creators get better at golf, or will the PGA pros and LIV pros become more entertaining first? If this thing were to crack off, does it matter if the creators get better? There's going to be a criteria to get into this. So it's not going to just be like you're a creator and a 25 handicap and you go out and you flip your hair around and stuff. Like that's not going to be it. If you're a +2 and you go out there and you flip your hair around, you're absolutely going to meet the criteria to be included. There's going to have to be some sort of cutoff for handicap. There's going to be some sort of cutoff for followers. There's going to be some sort of cutoff for some metric of engagement or something. Because there's even like a lot of people who have like, say they have like 1 million followers, but they're not technically golf creators. They just like post a golf video every 2 months. You want to have this thing super competitive. So it can't just be about followers. Like the followers are an entry and the followers do matter. You can't just like put people with a bunch of followers in like a room and then film it and it become the best thing ever. And that even hurts a creator's image when they join things that aren't popular. All right. And that moves us on to segment 7, a vision for the future. Imagine a world where golf is more accessible, engaging, and entertaining than ever before, where technology connects us, creators inspire us, and the game thrives across generations. I believe everything that we talked about in these 5 episodes will be what is to come in the creator golf space. It's just a matter of time before somebody takes these ideas and runs with them. We're really, really hoping that someone will muscle up and create all of the things that we have laid out here for you in these episodes. We think it's pretty close. The technologies are there. They just need to be put together, and the vision needs to be consolidated to have a focus on this as a mission. What role will you play in shaping the future of golf? We'd love to know what your plans are now that you think that this could be a reality maybe. The future of golf is creator-driven, tech-enabled, and community-powered. It's the future where everyone has a place, from the casual player to the aspiring pro. It's a future where the game is more accessible, more engaging, and more exciting than ever before. And it's a future that's being built right now. The future of golf is bright. Let's embrace the change, support the creators, and build a community that celebrates the game we all love. So this concludes the Birdie Fever Insider Series, The Future of Creator Golf. Let's have a live chat or another video where we basically just ask and answer questions about all of the material that we've covered here in the 5 episodes. We would love nothing more than to do that with you, and we hope that you would love to do it with us. let's get some creators on here. Let's get some talking heads of the space to come together and let's talk about this and actually how we could roll it out. What changes will we make from what we've suggested? I'm sure there's going to be plenty of suggestions, and that's okay. We're just kind of providing a platform of what could and should happen. From there, it can be discussed, changed, modified, whatever, but the pillars are pretty solid. We don't think that there's really any pillars that need to be removed. The only one that I think would really have a shot at coming out would be the handicap one, but I still think that even then, the entering average of the team is going to be what saves you there. Formats and stuff we didn't even really talk about too much, and that's because it's just really something that would be up for discussion and something that whoever owns the actual tour would have to decide or use a focus group to. We would love to know what formats we think that would work for this. Would you have different formats, like where you play like one tournament as one, you play another tournament as another? Would it always just be a 4-person scramble? There's tons of other formats out there. There's some good ones. Thank you guys so much for watching this series. If you guys tuned into all 5 episodes, you guys are the real VIP, and we super appreciate the love. We hope that you really enjoyed the series and you really got something from it. It really opened your eyes to like what could be coming down the pipe and some of the things that have just actually came down the pipe in the last couple of weeks that are going to make golf awesome. We hope that someone gets a fire under them hard enough to make it all in one place. There's not really room for multiple apps on the golf course. So we're really hoping that one will rule them all. So thank you guys very much again, and we will see you guys on the next video.